imply that it's interesting that people use that expression, life and death, as if to imply that life is the opposite of death, but birth is the opposite of death. Life has no opposite.
Never thought of it that way.
Well, leave it to me to overthink it.
You are the writer.
This writer has decided it doesn't matter how it ends. Because fiction is fiction. For the first time in a long time. My life is real. It doesn't matter who ends up with who. Because in some unearthly way, it's always going to be you and me.
Somebody blew up America. All thinking people oppose terrorism, both domestic and international. But one should not be used to cover the other. Somebody blew up America. Who live on Wall Street, the first plantation? Who got the tar, who got the feathers, who had the match, who set the fires, who killed and hired, who say they God and still be the devil? Who locked you up? Who owned the papers? Who stole the Indies, the Philippines, Manhattan, Australia, and the Hebrides? Who forced opium on the Chinese? Who owned your mind? Who twist your mind? Who locked you up? Who owned the papers? Who owned your mind? Who twist your mind? Who owned the oil? Who do no toil? Who owned the soil? Who owned the ocean? Who owned the airplane? Who owned the malls? Who owned television? Who owned radio? Who owned what ain't even known to be owned? Who owned the owners that ain't the real owners? Who owned the suburbs? Who suck the cities? Who make the laws? Who own the ocean? Who the biggest terrorists? Who changed the Bible? Who kill the most people? Who do the most evil? Who don't worry about survival? Who have the colonies? Who stole the most land? Who rule the world? Who say they good but only do evil? Who the biggest executioner? Who needs fossil fuel when the sun ain't going nowhere? Who invaded Grenada? Who made money from apartheid? Who keep the Irish a colony? Who overthrew Chile and Nicaragua later? Explosion of owl, the newspapers say the devil's fish to be seen. Who? Who is the ruler of hell? Who is the most powerful? Who you know ever seen God? But everybody's seen the devil. Like an owl exploding in your life, in your brain, in yourself. Like an owl who knows the devil all night, all day. If you listen like an owl exploding in fire, we hear the questions rise in terrible flame. Like the whistle of a crazy dog, like the acid vomit of the fire of hell. Who and who and who? Thank you. Somebody blew up America. Who own your mind? Who twist your mind? Somebody blew up America. Who own your mind? Who twist your mind? Who own your mind? Who twist your mind? Your mind. Who is the ruler of hell? Who is the most powerful? Who you know ever seen God? But everybody's seen the devil. Who you know ever seen God? But everybody's seen the devil. Never seen God, but everybody's seen the devil.
All day I walk barefoot through borrowed hours, staring into a screen that calls itself a window. When the glow fades, I don't sleep. The snake eats itself because there's nowhere else to go. So, like a moth, I search for the source. Brown liquor in an ice cup disguised as coke. The M train carries me from Roosevelt Ave to 42nd Street. The feeling returns to me in fractals. Faces multiplying into fragments. Backs brushing past like static. After 1 a.m., the billboards become a mercy. Somewhere between the H&M and M&M stores, the noise finally shuts off. I can't hear Empire State of Mind being played from the bedazzled pedicabs coming from all directions. I can't hear the ritual laughter of forgetting. I can barely see past the lights, and that's the point. I retrace my steps only when my eyes refuse me. Collapse serves as proof that the ritual succeeded. Like the children selling roses that they can never keep. I trade my brightness for a night that doesn't ask any questions. This is why I return to the source. Not to be saved, but to stand inside the wound. Wandering a country built from other people's ruins. Letting the snake finish its meal.
¿Qué hace aquí?
Tranquila, no se asuste que no le pasa nada, tranquila. ¿Dónde están tus amiguitas?
Está por allá.
A mí me han dicho que ya ven cosas buenas, ¿cierto?
¿Y qué cosas son? Ya no hacen nada.
¿Cuándo cobran por una mamadita?
¿Cuál? Está muy arrecho, mijo. ¿Cómo así que cobran? ¿De qué cobran, mijo?
Mira, venga, mi amor, yo le doy un piquito en el dedito, venga, mi amor, ¿sí?
Que está muy arrecho, mijo. ¿No le dieron arepa o qué? ¿No le dieron arepa?
Esta maricona que no sirve para nada, andate pues a ver, maricona.
The
next to your bed or your heart monitor. back, they discovered something useful. When the residue was refined and mixed into the e-cigarette's coil, users reported a rush, a sensation not unlike nicotine, sharp, brief, and haunting. That's why it crackles, grandmother would say. When you take a pull, that tiny spark you hear ain't the wire, it's the soul, breaking, the scream of someone who never made a home. And the corporations knew it. Oh, they knew. They branded it spiritual resonance. People lined up to buy them just to feel something that wasn't boredom or heat or pain. You could hear the hiss and pop of vapor on every porch, like summer cicadas mourning themselves. Some folks said the cigarettes spoke to them, low whispers under the static. Others said they saw faces in the vapor, fleeting blue-gray, like smoke caught in the headlights. But no one stopped smoking, not when the world was burning. In that America, laws were written by the same hands that soldered the wires. Export bans were lifted, patents were sacred, and death was just another mineral right. The government called it the Precious Metals Accord, and every ton of cobalt brought in another $1 to the national debt's coffin. The ad said, each puff connects you to the human story of labor. And maybe that was true. My grandmother had worked in one of those plants once. She said the air shimmered there, thick with dust and sorrow. One night she dropped a coil into the mix and heard a voice sing, soft and holy, trapped in the hum of the metal. That's when I quit, she would say, but the sound never left me. Now her grandchild sits by the window, the e-cig glowing faint blue in the dark. Grandma, the child asks, do you really think souls are in there? I think everything we use to forget the dead and wronged ends up being made from them, she answers. The child takes a slow draw. A faint hymn drifts into the room, soft, metallic, unending. God rest the souls banished to live in precious metals. my sister and I's hair back with the good grease, and she would dress us up like dolls. We went to a church in a strip mall in Jefferson, West Virginia. Our preacher looked like some TV game show host. Drove around in a nice car and told folks like my parents that the Lord blesses those who bless him. I wasn't ever sure if he meant God or himself. Our preacher didn't live around there either. He stayed in a couple towns over. We all stayed near the church in Jefferson. Every year, the pinnacle of our church services happened at sunset on a Friday in April, when Pastor Thornton would tell the story of Jesus' betrayal and cruel death, the Good Friday crucifixion, the killing of the sacrificed lamb. Honestly, I still shudder when I think back to his face, all twisted and shit. Like that man could tell a story. When I was really young, like maybe 6 or 8, I used to think that Jesus died every year. My parents were faithful tithers, always 20%, no less. And it's funny now because I think about how my preacher demanded 20% of our income as some type of assurance of our devotion to God. But he probably couldn't give an extra $2 to the Waffle House employee at lunch after Sunday service. Shit, he wouldn't be at a Waffle House anyway. The congregation was promised a return on our investment. Crowns in heaven type shit. It's enough to bank hope on to live another day. Sacrifice. A couple years back, like 5 years back, people started to stop showing up for service. I had already left as soon as I was old enough, but 5 years ago, those people leaving were in wayward souls. They hadn't lost the faith. It was the plant that got them. My mom called me yesterday to tell me that my dad has cancer. The fucking plant. This pastor shut down the church not too long ago. He's taking a sabbatical for the rest of his life. He's cashing in on his investment. So yeah, he's fucking off to Florida. One of his kids is in school for business management, and his other is a practicing corporate lawyer in the city or something. Whatever sacrifice he made must have paid off. 8 members of the church are in hospice care as of like a couple weeks ago. It's crazy how the plant was set up and everything. I remember it like it was yesterday. One day I'm seeing the pastor at the grocery store randomly, or maybe we drive past their car, or maybe we pull up at the same gas station. I used to be friends with his daughter. But then, a couple weeks after the plant was set up, I didn't see her anymore. Not unless we were at church. And I remember being in Sunday school with her one morning. She leaned in while we were supposed to be listening to the story of Abraham and Isaac. She leaned in to tell me a secret, which is that they moved. I didn't really understand why it was supposed to be a secret at the time. I've heard stories of environmental sacrifice zones in Appalachia and Memphis and in places in India and China. It's about being called and treated as expendable people, as sacrificable communities. It's about sacrificing people for some greater good. Good for a corporation or something. Maybe we were being primed to think that our not being able to leave the area was like some sacrifice that would be rewarded with a big room in God's mansion after we died of cancer from water poisoning.
Different communities where people are living. And I also think about the maps and the applications that industry turns in. It just makes me feel like they don't think that people live in these places. We're human, we're real, we live there, we're raising our families there, and I don't think any of these definitions really define our communities or who we are and what we're facing. Because whenever you think about like opportunity zones or environmental justice communities or communities that are overburdened, clearly the definitions aren't enough because they continue to do the same thing in the same places.
Finding the thread.